My dear Mr. Bach, no, it is like most interviews, pure twaddle and valueless, for several quite plain and simple reasons. An interview must, as a rule, be an absurdity, and chiefly for this reason. It is an attempt to use a boat on land, or a wagon on water, to speak figuratively. Spoken speech is one thing, written speech is quite another. Print is the proper vehicle for the latter, but it isn't for the former. The moment talk is put into print, you recognize that it is not what it was when you heard it. You perceive that an immense something has disappeared from it. That is its soul. You have nothing but a dead carcass left on your hands. Color, play of feature, the varying modulations of the voice, the laugh, the smile, the informing inflections, everything that gave that body warmth, grace, friendliness, and charm, and commended it to your affections, or at least to your tolerance, is gone, and nothing is left but a pallid, stiff, and repulsive cadaver. Such is talk almost invariably as you see it lying in state in an interview. The interviewer seldom tries to tell one how a thing was said. He merely puts in the naked remark and stops there. When one writes for print, his methods are very different. He follows forms which have but little resemblance to conversation, but they make the reader understand what the writer is trying to convey. And when the writer is making a story, and finds it necessary to report some of the talk of his characters, observe how cautiously and anxiously he goes at that risky and difficult thing. "If he had dared to say that thing in my presence," said Alfred, taking a mock heroic attitude and casting an arch glance upon the company, "blood would have flowed." "If he had dared to say that thing in my presence," said Hawkwood, with that in his eye which caused more than one heart in that guilty assemblage to quake, "blood would have flowed." "If he had dared to say that thing in my presence," said the paltry blusterer, with valor on his tongue and pallor on his lips, "blood would have flowed." So painfully aware is the novelist that naked talk in print conveys no meaning that he loads, and often overloads, almost every utterance of his characters with explanations and interpretations. It is a loud confession that print is a poor vehicle for talk. It is a recognition that uninterpreted talk in print would result in confusion to the reader, not instruction. Now, in your interview, you have certainly been most accurate. You have set down the sentences I uttered as I said them, but you have not a word of explanation. What my manner was at several points is not indicated. Therefore, no reader can possibly know where I was in earnest and where I was joking, or whether I was joking altogether. or in earnest altogether. Such a report of a conversation has no value. It can convey many meanings to the reader, but never the right one. To add interpretations which would convey the right meaning is something which would require what? An art so high and fine and difficult that no possessor of it would ever be allowed to waste it on interviews. No, spare the reader and spare me. Leave the whole interview out. It is rubbish. I wouldn't talk in my sleep if I couldn't talk better than that. If you wish to print anything, print this letter. It may have some value, for it may explain to a reader here and there why it is that in interviews, as a rule, men seem to talk like anybody but themselves. Very sincerely yours, Mark Twain.